Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video, which is the big one. That's right, we're doing my top 3 in every makeup category ever. My entire very large desk is covered with the most glorious makeup to share with you today. This is an epic one, okay? Grab a snack, get a drink, okay? Get a full Stanley, fill it with ice because we're going to be here for a while, okay? Without further ado, let's get started. So usually when I do this video annually, I do it every year around this time. I consolidate. I know you guys are always asking me for like my #1 favorites. So I don't change them very often. I will wait to do this video when enough has changed that it's worth doing it again, and I find once a year is like the perfect sweet spot for that. Usually I ask you guys what you want me to do, how you want me to do this. Do you want me to include products that are no longer available, even though they would be a holy grail or a top 3, or omit them? What do you want me to do? But I didn't ask you this year. I can only apologize, but the reason being that I know what you're going to say because you say the same thing every year, so I thought I know what they want, I'm just going to do it. So what we're going to be doing, I will include my true top 3 regardless of availability, whether it was limited edition, long gone, discontinued, whatever, but I will include some alternatives. So if the entire category, which one of them, there is a couple that are limited edition. So if that is the case, I will include like a reserve, like a runner-up, if you will. In a lot of these categories, there isn't a ranking. There is no ranking. These are just my top 3. A lot of the time, it's very hard to sort of pick between first and second. There's 2 products, you love them both the same. So there isn't a ranking or an order like between the 3 in each category. However, sometimes there is like a standout favorite among the 3, and in that case I will let you know what that is. Otherwise it's just the top 3, and I love them all equally like my children. So enough talking, because there's going to be enough talking as it is anyway, and we've got a lot to get through. I try my very best to hydrate and keep my voice for as long as possible. Without further ado, let's kick it off with primers. So this is a category where I do have an out and out standout holy grail favorite that I prefer to the other 2. I'm so sorry guys, but it's the Tom Ford Soft Matte Primer. No surprises, this is probably my 5th bottle of this primer. It's my dream primer. All I want, it does. And what it does exceptionally well is smooth and prep my skin flawlessly for foundation. So it just gives me the most beautiful, smooth, flawless base for glowy foundations to go on top of and never crease, never sink into lines, wear beautifully. It never ever has given me an issue with the foundation, regardless of the base or whatever the foundation consists of. This primer has never let me down. It's never pilled. It's never flaked or rolled off my face. It is just perfect. The other 2 primers that I really enjoy are fairly neck and neck, and they're both more hydrating than the Tom Ford. So first up we have the other Tom Ford, the Shade Illuminate primer. This is almost fully gone. What I like about this is it's lovely and hydrating. Foundations, especially glowy foundations, go beautifully on top of it, and it has SPF 25, so in summer this is perfect. I can wear this by itself with a bit of glow, but it also gives me an extra bit of boost to my SPF. And then we have the Hourglass Priming Moisturiser. This is almost like you mixed these 2 together. It's a bit more hydrating and it has a bit of luminosity, if you will, to it, more so than the Tom Ford Soft Matte, but it is quite silicone-y, so it still has quite a lot of smoothing to it as well, which I really love, and that's my #1 priority when it comes to a primer. So those are my top 3 current primers. Moving swiftly on to foundations. Now this was straightforward as far as the first 2. I knew exactly what they would be. And the third one is what has been holding up this video. It's a bit late this year, and this is why, because I've had so many amazing foundations have come out in the last 12 or 18 months that I didn't even know where to start with that third place. There's so many. I still have foundations from 2 or 3 years ago that I love and that are in my regular rotation. I just didn't know where to start, so I've been going back to back to back with all of my sort of favourites, my top drawer foundations, to try and decide what was in that third place. So starting off, you guys know the new Tom Ford Architecture Radiance foundation that replaces my Shade and Illuminate. So this is my new holy grail. Now I could have included the Shade and Illuminate foundation here, but as this has replaced that as far as the line, I feel like that's a waste of a spot, isn't it? So both of those foundations, because they are almost identical, have been my holy grail for years now. It's just perfection for everything I look for. It's so flattering, it's so beautiful. The glow starts and ends the day perfectly. It wears incredibly well for such a radiant, gloriously glowy foundation. The coverage is perfect, that natural medium that still shows skin peeking through and still has a very skin-like quality about it, but it covers and evens everything incredibly well. I have beautiful shade matches, summer, winter and in between, and the bottle is absolutely glorious, which certainly doesn't hurt. This is the foundation I'm wearing today, and I would wear it every single day, and happily so, to be honest. The next one I'm going to talk about is a little sad, and I wish it wasn't the case, but I have really come to adore, unfortunately, the Prairie Caviar foundation. I wish I didn't love it, and I thought I was safe from this foundation when I first purchased it because I got my shade wrong, which was a very expensive mistake, but I wanted to give it another try because I did use it. It wasn't a terrible shade. I can still wear it. It's not like completely off. It's just a little warm. So I've still been using it, and I liked it enough that I thought I need to get my correct shade and really try this because I think we're on to a winner, and we are. So I now have the shade Satin Nude N30, and this is now a perfect shade for me. Absolutely beautiful, and I, unfortunately, because of the price, love this foundation so much. It's a little less glowy than the Tom Ford, and I would sort of lean towards this because of the price point for like special occasions and not sort of wear it every day. Although it is a beautiful everyday foundation, it has a gorgeous medium to full coverage straight off the bat. It's incredibly lightweight, but somehow has this really high coverage despite feeling like nothing and looking like nothing on the skin. So flattering on texture and lines. It's obviously uber luxurious, which again, I just love to use it. It feels like such a treat, and it just feels incredible on the skin as well. But it is effortlessly flawless and so beautiful. I wish it wasn't so, but it's unfortunately beautiful. And then the third foundation is the Tom Ford Architecture Soft Matte. And this is the foundation that I ummed and ahed with so many others. I went back and forth. I almost chose the new Givenchy. I thought about the Hourglass that I've really been loving. I still to this day love the NARS. Was it All Day Radiant, something about that? The Shiseido. There's been so many that I've been going back and forth. Prada, that was in my top 3 last year in this video. But the few times I put this on and went back and forth with other foundations, although it's not necessarily on paper my cup of tea, it's more matte, it's heavier coverage than I typically go for. This just does something that I find no other foundation I own or have tried does quite as well. It's that full coverage, flawless. Yes, it's more matte than my usual go-to foundations and the other two that I love, but it's so naturally matte. It has quite a bit of a luminous matte, soft matte, natural matte finish, which I really appreciate. But this is just exceptionally bulletproof. It's flawless and flattering, yes, but what really is special about this foundation is I know, regardless of what happens, soaked with rain, tears streaming down my face, a lightning storm, humidity, heat, a 14-15 hour day, including all of that I've previously mentioned, and it will look immaculate. Somehow I've cried my eyes out in films with this on. I've got soaked. I've got incredibly hot and humid during a really long walking day of walking, and I've sweated, and nothing has ever moved this foundation. It is truly the longest wearing foundation I've ever tried without having to look uber matte and flat at the same time. It's so thin as well for such a heavy matte foundation with such high coverage. It's very, very light and thin consistency, so it doesn't feel heavy and bulky. It just looks flawless with super high coverage. And I tell you, if I think my makeup has got a day ahead of it, this is what I'm reaching for every time. And that's why I chose this over some of the others like the Givenchy, the Girl On, the Hourglass, that might be more up my street as far as a finish, but I have that covered in the other two foundations. So I was like, if I only had to keep 3 foundations, if I could only keep 3, this would have to be in there because no other foundation is as bulletproof as this one. Next up, concealer, and this is a category I did not see going how it's gone this year. We started off the year with the Haus Labs, still firmly in top spot holy grail status, and I still love this. This is an excellent full coverage matte concealer that doesn't crease, that covers everything I need it to, and is a super beautiful, flattering for mature under eyes concealer. But this year, 2 came along and smashed it out the park, and I don't even know how that happened because I didn't think we could improve on the Haus Labs, but we did. So the other 2 concealers that are in my top 3, the Estee Lauder Double Wear. So this was like a reformulation, I think, of a concealer I had loved before, but I didn't love the doe foot, and they've improved that. They've improved the packaging, but we've still got the exceptional, beautiful, full coverage, light, beautiful finish, very natural, very flattering, doesn't crease, wears incredibly well. That immediately came in and became my new holy grail. And then along came the Chanel, which again wasn't on my bingo card, and this is now my new holy grail. So these are my top 3, but again, we do have a sort of one that is in top spot in this category, and that is the new Chanel. All of these concealers have full coverage. All of them wear beautifully. All of them are flattering on my under eye area, and none of them crease throughout the day. So they all have that in common, which is obviously what I look for in my concealer. What sets this one apart from the others for me is it is so thin and lightweight, yet has such incredible coverage. And as you age, you'll know that thick, heavy products are usually danger for us. They're danger for texture, they're danger for lines or anywhere with delicate skin. Putting a lot of heavy product there isn't going to be flattering. This is so light, so thin, yet you don't have to sacrifice on the coverage, and that's what sort of pips this into top spot. It has everything else that the other concealers I love have, but it is lighter and thinner, and therefore it just looks so flattering, and it's just nice how it feels like you have nothing on under your eyes, which is rare to find. Next up, powders. Now, you know I don't use a lot of powder, but I use 3 powders quite regularly, sort of strategically. So first of all, the one that you all know that I love and am obsessed with, the Givenchy loose powder. Unfortunately, this is still the original formula. I did buy a backup. This is almost gone, and then I have my backup of the original formula. It's still the only powder I use under my eyes, so I will need to work on a replacement eventually, but not anytime soon, thankfully. This is just silky. It sets my concealer without doing anything else. It sets my concealer and it leaves everything looking polished without adding weight, without adding heaviness or enhancing texture under my eyes. It's not heavily matte, but it's not luminous and glowing and looking like highlight under my eyes either. It's just perfect. Now for an under eye powder, in second place would be the Pat McGrath. This was again my holy grail for a long time before I met the Givenchy, so potentially I'll go back to this once I run out of that original formula. It's still an excellent lightweight powder that sets everything beautifully. I would just say that it's slightly less light being a pressed powder than the Givenchy, and I find the Givenchy really easy to control how much I add. It's just easier to sort of dust away or dust on than a set compact powder, so that's why I prefer the Givenchy, but the Pat McGrath is still an excellent powder. I'm also a bit scared to travel with the Pat McGrath because it is very softly pressed and fragile, so again I don't have to worry about that with the Givenchy because it's already smashed to smithereens, so perfect. And then the third powder that I don't talk about very often on camera is the Charlotte Tilbury. You can see I've hit pan on this, but I tend to use this to either set the concealer for my eyeshadow, or if I ever, which is very rare, do touch-ups. So sometimes if I've had a very, very long day and then I'm going out for dinner and I don't have time to really like redo my makeup, or my makeup is just already done and we're popping out somewhere, maybe I've got a little shiny in my T-zone, usually just around the nose, or I've lost a bit of coverage on my chin, that is where I love this powder. It's just perfect because it has a bit of coverage for coming in and just touching up, getting rid of any shine, getting rid of any little fading bits of makeup, and that's when I use and love this. Next up, let's talk about setting sprays, and again this is a category where I do have an out and out favourite. So first of all, let's talk about the Lisa Eldridge. This for me is a finishing spray as opposed to a setting spray. I love to go in with this and just melt everything together. If I'm feeling a bit matte or a bit powdery or a bit heavy, or I just feel like I look quite makeup-y, I will soak myself with this and it just melts everything beautifully into my skin. It's not heavily fragranced, it's super light, and it's really hydrating as well. So I quite often will just soak myself with this sort of midway throughout the day, just for a treat. In the summer, it's freshening, enlivening, and it just really feels very hydrating and cooling without disturbing your makeup, but it isn't going to extend the life of your makeup or really, you know, change the finish. It's just going to allow everything to sort of melt together. If you've gone a bit heavy-handed or the products have layered really heavily or powderily, that's what I kind of reach for that reason. A new entry into my top 3 this year is the Pat McGrath Glass Skin Spray. I did not see this coming at all. I did not think this would do what it claims to do, but it really does. Watch my review if you don't believe me, because you can very clearly see the effect of this on camera. It is beautiful. Being a glowy girl, being a glowy lover, sometimes I'll try a new foundation, I'll try some new products, and I'll just feel too matte. It will feel heavy, it will look too makeup-y for me, too matte for me, I'll find it unflattering. And now I can just go in and exactly with this, and I'm as glowy as I would love to be. It's miraculous. The fact that I can use a load of matte products that I wouldn't have reached for before and then just finish off with a little blast of this and be glowy is quite frankly all my dreams come true. Don't know about you, but without question, my favourite all-time setting spray still is the Charlotte Tilbury, because this one can also melt your makeup together and get rid of any powderiness or heavy looking makeup, but this does really extend the life of your makeup. I go for this anytime I need my makeup to stay looking fresh for as long as possible. If I'm going to an event, if it's a super warm, humid day and I'm going to be out in it for a long time and I know my makeup's going to struggle, I reach for this every time. It is the first setting spray and probably the only setting spray that I've ever truly noticed a difference in how my makeup has worn with versus without it. It's incredible, a beautiful light scent, beautiful light spray, unbeatable. Next up, let's move on to contour. And again, I do have a standout favorite in this category, and it is the Rare Beauty liquid. This is the shade Mellow. Now, I like my contours to not be a bronzer and uber warm, of course, but I don't like them to be crematorium grey either. I like them to have a bit or more of a neutral finish, and this one is just so natural. You can see it's definitely cooler than a bronzer, but it is so natural. It blends so effortlessly and seamlessly into the skin. Contour is something that's a bit daunting for me. I'm not a professional. It's not something I do a lot, but since meeting this one, I'm confident with it. I know it will look super natural and flattering, not too grey. It doesn't really matter if I don't place it perfectly, because it does have that bit more of a neutral undertone, that it's not a disaster if, you know, you get the placement slightly too spread out as opposed to being really, really precise with it. It's just a dream, so easy, melts into the skin seamlessly, and I love it. Next up, we have a new entry, which is the Dior stick, and this is in the shade Light. I have a couple of these sticks, but this is my favorite as far as contour. The other stick I have is more of a bronzer. So you can see, again, this is quite a bit more grey and not as neutral as the Rare Beauty. This is definitely a more sort of true-ish contour. So creamy, just like the foundation stick from Dior, which was another one that was really, really touch and go as to whether it would be my top 3. Probably that would be my 4th, the Dior stick foundation. This is that same beautiful, buttery, creamy, effortless formula. Melts into the skin so beautifully. I do like a stick when it comes to contour, because it's just so easy for an idiot to just there and press into the skin, and it's effortless to do so as well. In third place, my longest standing contour, and this is the Charlotte Tilbury Contour Wand. Definitely the warmest of the 3. In fact, probably more of a liquid bronzer in this shade specifically, which is medium. The lighter shade that I have is more of a true contour. I think this is just the perfect size and shape. You know, the Rare Beauty is a little narrower, the Dior is much wider, so you've got to be careful with that on the cheeks. Whereas this is as easy as drawing a line, and like the Rare Beauty, it just melts perfectly, so easily into the skin. It's effortless with no buffing or work required. It just literally taps in beautifully. Let's give you a little cheeky close up there. As you can see, the Dior is without question the coolest. Rare Beauty somewhere in the middle, and then the Charlotte Tilbury is absolutely the warmest. So moving on to bronzer. Again, we do have a standout in this category favourite, and that is the Farah Hamidi bronzer. I am absolutely besotted with this bronzer. It looks, the state of it will show you how much I love it. It's just my dream bronzer. This is the shade Lumen. I don't really feel the need to have another shade in this. I just think this is perfect. Do you see the luminosity? It's gorgeous. There is no shimmer or sparkle or glitter in here. It's just luminous. It's so natural and effortless and easy to use. I've used this to death since it arrived, and it is a mess, but it barely looks like I've used any at the same time. Like, I think this is going to last me a decade at least. It's the perfect, yes, it's a bronzer, so of course it's warm, it should be, but it's not orange, it's not too warm, it's very natural warmth that really replicates like my skin when it gets a bit of sun on it. And it's just silky, blends like a dream, builds incredibly well. The packaging is stunning, and it's now available here in the UK, which was the only one thing that I could find wrong with it. Now she's here, and it's refillable, and they do refills, so you only have to purchase the big glorious weighty brick of a compact one time. Now, gazumped off top spot quite quickly. I'm ashamed to show you this, and I thought about cleaning it, but I feel like this is much more realistic and shows the use of my makeup if I don't, because that's disgusting. But this is the Dior bronzer, and this is the glowy finish in the shade Intense. I do actually have this in 3 shades, and I love them all and will use them all, but this is just my favorite. And you can see this is just a bit drier and a bit less luminous than the Farah Hamidi, which just feels almost like a cream, which is what just pips the Dior for me. But again, a beautiful sort of warm, yes, you can see the far out as well. When you see these together, that has more of that sort of reddish undertone, which I really like. The shade of that one is just perfect, but the Dior is beautiful, not overly warm either. Got a slight bit of luminosity, not glowy or shimmery or like a highlighter, but it's not matte either. It's got a beautiful bit of luminosity to it. And then in the third spot we have the YSL bronzer, and this is the shade number 2. Couldn't see it for a second. This again, as you can see, has got a lot of use. The packaging of this is my absolute favorite. They've knocked it out of the park, YSL, with their packaging. This is much lighter. Do you see how natural that is? One swipe. It does build very, very well. It is a little cooler for a bronzer, this one, and it is a lot lighter than a lot of my other bronzers, but that's why I love this for when I'm just doing something really light and natural. This is a matte bronzer as well, so I do prefer these other two with a bit of luminosity, but if I want a more matte bronzer, maybe everything else I'm using is glowy, and so I just feel like I need a bit of balance. This is the bronzer I go for. Uber natural, undetectable on the skin, soft, long wearing, stunning packaging, and I can build till the cows come home without it ever getting too much because it's so soft and natural and pretty. There they are all together. Okay, so we're moving on to highlighters now, and unfortunately my highlighters we do have a lot that I love that are limited edition. Worst of all, my holy grail highlighter still is Chanel's Rêve de Camellia. It's ridiculous that they didn't ever bring this back because it is absolutely stunning, and Chanel have done so many highlighters and limited edition highlighters since Rêve de Camellia, and nothing in my opinion has ever come close. I've talked about this since it came out. Has it been 2 years? Hopefully not. That's horrifying, but it's been a long time. It's just perfection. It's almost sheer colour is what sets it apart from a lot of other highlighters. It never sits on top of the skin or leaves a streak or leaves a cast. It melts invisibly in and just leaves glow. That is what is so perfect about it. I hate that it's gone. If you missed out on it, I hate it for you. I'm so sorry. But I do have a couple of others that are beautiful also. So first up, the Gucci. I do like the pink shade the most in this formula. You will see it's quite close in shade. It is a little pinker, and it definitely has a little more sort of visible sparkle about it than the Chanel, but it's fairly close and still uber beautiful and easily available. Another highlighter that came along this year and knocked my socks off and came very, very close to being as loved as the Rêve de Camellia is the Prada. Again, I've chosen the pink shade because that is just what I absolutely love. A gorgeous sort of opal pink highlighter. This one is much more subtle than these two, much more understated, softer, more luminous as opposed to being really beaming and glowing, which I really enjoy. Perfect everyday highlighter. That's the highlighter I've got on today, but I do also have a glowy blush that we will be talking about momentarily as well. Here are those top 3 highlighters. Stunning. And if you're wanting a 4th place, because we do have a limited edition discontinued number in there, then let's talk about the YSL. This is so pretty. Again, you get that stunning YSL packaging. This is shade number 3. Again, it's that pinky tone, which I love, and a gorgeous alternative if you missed out on the Chanel. I don't think it's a dupe, but it is certainly a beautiful highlighter. So moving on to blush. Now, I don't think there's any hope of me picking a standout formula here. I love blushes. I could have included 58 different formulas that I'm obsessed with in this video. I've tried to bring it down to my top 3, but this is very loose, okay? It really depends on the day, the season, where my skin tone is, but these are certainly some of my most used, most loved blush formulas. First of all, this is Chanel's Elegance, and I will love her forever. She is the perfect everyday peachy nude blush that just goes with absolutely everything, and it has that most stunning Chanel luminous finish, which I love so much. I have so many of these glowy Chanel blushes, not just in singles but also in their palettes, and it's one of my favorites to wear. So pretty but elegant, like the name would suggest, on the skin. It's not too shimmery or too sparkly or glittery. It's a gorgeous glow, and it's like candlelit. It's just so pretty, and it just goes with every makeup look that you could possibly come up with. Nothing is going to fight against elegance. It's just so understated and effortless. Now the blush that I'm wearing today is one of the Sisley Lauder. I wish they would come out with more shades because these are so special and so pretty. I'm wearing shade 1 today. That's her swatched. A little less, or quite a bit less glowy actually than Elegance. Much more of a sort of understated glow as opposed to it looking like, you know, shimmer. It's really, again, that candlelit glow in combination with the Prada highlighter. This cheek is just giving me life. It just is so smooth but almost glossy, and I feel like the more you build or buff it into the skin, the more of that glossiness, that beautiful glow you'll get. It's just absolutely stunning. I have a couple of shades. The third shade is a pink, so I'm not interested in it, but I would like 10 of these despite the price. To me, they're just so beautiful. And I love wearing them because they have that extra bougie quality to it, and it just feels like a treat for the cheeks. Now in third place, I wanted to include the Hermes blush from last year's holiday collection. This is Rose Hale, and it is absolutely glorious. This sort of, again, peachy, like everyday nude, luminous but not shimmery or sparkly. It's just absolutely perfect, and I love it so much. Get a lot of use out of it. Obviously that is limited edition, so instead I will link and tell you about Rockabye from this year. These are so pretty. The finish of these is ridiculous, and I do slightly prefer Rose Hale just because it's more peachy, and that's my preference when it comes to blush. But Rockabye is not to be sniffed at either. Obviously a bit more pinky, but stunning nonetheless, and such an understated, elegant glow. You can build and build and build this, and your cheeks will just look the juiciest, like delightful bit of freshness to your life. I literally, whenever I wear these Hermes blushes, I feel like I can't stop looking at my cheeks all day because they just are delightfully juicy. And here they are all together, a delightful array of dreamy glowiness for the eyes. Moving on now from cheeks to eye products. First of all, let's do the boring bit, and that's brows. Now, my brows are very, very stubborn. I've said this a good few times. The only brow gel that has ever worked perfectly for me is the Rare Beauty. I've been through 10 of them. It's the only brow gel that has ever kept my eyebrows in place ever. At all, and I don't really use anything, or I don't ever use anything else. Even when I've had my brows laminated, once it sort of wears off, I go straight back to that gel because it's just amazing, and it's the only one that's ever worked for me. Now there are two, I've brought the wrong brow pencil, and now there are two brow pencils that I have been loving. First of all, the Benefit. I've been loving this for a lot longer. I've had this quite a while now, repurchased it I think 3 or 4 times. This is the Precisely My Brow Detailer. It's just so tiny. I bet you can barely even see the hair strokes there because they're so fine. This has the perfect balance between being crisp and being able to get the finest hair-like strokes that look so realistic, and not being so hard that you have to use a lot of pressure to get it to pay off. It's soft enough that you can barely touch your brow and get a hair-like stroke, but it stays crisp and not smudgy. Perfect. And then the newest entry is this elusive Lisa Eldridge brow pencil that still has not launched yet. People keep asking me, where did you get that? So I got this in PR quite a long time ago now, and it was supposed to launch that week when I received it, but there have been some problems, so it has never arrived, but it will be coming soon. Just hang in there. This is very different to the Benefit. It definitely gives a thicker brow stroke. I will show you a zoom in a minute, but what I love about the Lisa Eldridge, it's uber natural. If I'm going no makeup, lighter makeup, I don't want a real sort of crisp dramatic brow, I will use the Lisa Eldridge because it's so natural. It just literally looks like your brows are perfect. So we've got the Lisa Eldridge on this side and the Benefit here. Definitely the Benefit is crisper and sharper, and the Lisa is softer and more natural. But I love and use them both intermittently depending on what the makeup look is and the occasion that I'm going for. They're both excellent. Next up, let's talk about eyeshadow palettes. So no surprises that in here we still have Pat McGrath's Mothership 10. Oh, I have loved this for so long. It's such a mess. We've got some really deep holes in some of these shadows. I'm sure I'm going to hit pan on it soon, even though I haven't really used this recently because so many amazing eyeshadows have come out since this one. But this for me has always been the ultimate Pat McGrath Mothership because it has some beautiful sort of wearable mattes and then just stunning beautiful, glorious shimmers, of course, with special shades. Was this the last Mothership that had special shades? I can't remember, possibly. And oh, they're just ridiculously stunning. And they're not only ridiculously stunning, they're really like my tones that I feel are really flattering and that are really wearable for me day to day. And yes, I've loved her since she came along. Without question, my favourite Mothership and one of my all-time favourite palettes. I feel like I hardly use it anymore because it's, you know, we've had so many newer palettes, but whenever I reach for it, it has my heart firmly by the gizzards. Now, when it came to a Lisa Eldridge palette, last year I think I included Sorcery, and I still love Sorcery with all my might. It's very, very special, that palette. I really was close to choosing Betty. Just such a special, unique little colour story that's so pretty in such an impactful way. But I've gone for Desert Gleam. I feel like this is almost, although it's nothing like Betty, it has some similarities in tones to Sorcery. I feel like it's almost the in-between of those two because this is the everyday wearable, understated cousin of Sorcery. So that's why I've chosen to go with Desert Gleam over Sorcery, because the mattes in here are the most perfect everyday sort of neutral mattes that you could just wear on their own to the office as a one and done. And then you've got these stunning shimmers as well, this khaki green matte that just helps you put a little bit of green into every look if you want. Absolutely ridiculously beautiful shimmers. I can't get enough of this palette. Even this like chartreuse, almost yellow gold there that I never thought I would use somehow just works so perfectly with this colour story. I feel like what this palette does that's so special is it's wearable and kind of understated, but it's also different. It's not just a neutral browns everyday palette. It's somehow so unique and special while being so wearable, which I feel like is Lisa's sort of superpower. She does that so well, like nobody else. And so that's why I had to choose Desert Gleam. But Betty was this close, and Sorcery, to be honest, still right up there. And then a real new contender for me this year, the eyeshadow I'm wearing today, Danessa Myricks Lightwork 7. I didn't see this coming. I didn't think I would ever get to buy a Danessa Myricks palette because they were always so intimidating to me. And then came along this little number, which just had enough wearable shades and the mattes in here to allow me to feel like I could confidently give this a go. And oh, she has just given me so much joy and fun since I mean, these shadows are ridiculous. This is the eyeshadow I'm wearing today, and I just have so much fun with it. It's got so many endless possibilities. You'll never get bored, and yet I find it so wearable for every day. There's so many options. Because of those neutral mattes, you really can do as much or as little as you'd like. It just is always stunning. I'm never bored of it. It's so much fun to play with. The formulas are ridiculous. I want like 10 more like this, okay? It's really exceptional. All of the innovation with the packaging and the fact that you can take the palettes out and use the little mirror and all of that refillability, I don't know if that's a real word, but there it is of course incredible. But these shadows just can't be argued with. The mattes are ridiculously silky and buildable and blendable, and I don't even need to say anything. I just need to do this. Like, look at it. And I don't know how she does it, but for the amount of shimmer and impact in these metallics and these beautiful duochromes, there's barely any fallout, which is quite incredible, to be honest. Just a spectacular palette. So that's the palettes. And now for the singles. Now, I did sort of think about including Danessa Myricks' dual-ended stick cream shadows, but I'm trying to be strict with myself. We said singles, so it has to be singles. So I also didn't include the Patrick Tar duos because they're not singles, okay? They're close, and I thought about cheating, but no, I'm going to be good. So first of all, we have Armani's liquid shadow in the shade 22M. I don't really think I ever talk about this on my channel, but this is something I use a lot just in my day-to-day makeup on a quick, effortless, no makeup look. I've got 5 minutes to get ready. This is typically the shadow I wear, just buffed all over the mobile lid and up into the crease, and I'm good to go. It never creases, it never moves, it never budges, and it's just a perfect, easy, like brown bit of something in the crease, like using bronzer, but so long wearing. You could tap a shimmer over the top, but that's just how I use it for every day. And another shadow in an incredible formula that I use in the same way is Lisa Eldridge's Liquid Silks. This is the shade Talia, which again is my favorite for every day because you can really just blend this as much or as little as you want to get the richer or the more subtle amount of color. And these just will wear through anything. A storm, a tsunami, literally anything, rain, tears, sweat, heat, humidity, it will not budge, and they are so flattering. This is my #1 recommendation if you have mature lids, because it will never crease and it just irons everything. It's like ironing. I wouldn't suggest that, but it's like ironing your eyelids out. They literally smooth your whole eyelid area, all that crepiness, it silkens it up, you know, so flattering on mature or textured lids, just unbelievable. And then something very, very different for my sparkly fans, these Hourglass Scattered Lights. This is my favorite shade of all. Smoke. I think this is the first shade I tried, and I went back for more and more and more of these because they are just stunning, aren't they? So reflective, so pretty, like the perfect one and done formulas. I have about 5 of them now. I wish they'd do new shades actually. This is just the perfect neutral, beautiful, stunning bit of twinkle. And now for mascaras. It will come as no surprise that we have my holy grail in here, the Charlotte Tilbury push-up lashes. Still my holy grail. It's been years now, and we came as close as we've ever come this year to it being knocked off top spot, but I think she's hanging in by the skin of her teeth. But the Hourglass Unlocked is really right there with her. So this is the Hourglass Instant Extensions Mascara, the mascara I've got on today, and I fell in love with this year. I've been loving it so much. It's so lengthening, and because it is a fiber mascara, it's so easy to remove, and this is my go-to if I think I'm going to get rained on or I'm going to cry. I will reach for the Hourglass extensions. Because it's a fiber lash, it won't run or stream. It may get a couple of specks, which you can just dust away, but it will not run or stream if you cry or you get soaked. So that has become my go-to for any time where I feel the eye area may become moist for a plethora of reasons. Both of these give me that fanned out dramatic lash without clumpiness or being too thick of a lash or clumping lashes together too much. The Charlotte Tilbury is a bit more of a spiky lash and the Hourglass is a bit more lengthening, but they are both absolutely epic, and I just go back and forth between them on my day-to-day. In third spot, but I will say this is kind of a distant third to those two, but it's the Benefit Roller Lash. This is sort of in between, I would say, of those two. Not quite as lengthening, but it does have exceptional lift, which I really like, and it really gives me that sort of fanned out, spikier lash, a bit like the Charlotte Tilbury, but just not quite as dramatic. So I do love the Charlotte Tilbury and the Hourglass more, but this is my third place. Let's quickly do some liners, because I feel like they're fairly boring, but we need to include them because they are a category. As much as I barely use them, we have to include them, okay? I don't know why. But first up, we have these double-ended little numbers from Charlotte Tilbury. I don't use the darker end really, but the cream end is the perfect cream brightening shade for your lower lash line. It's ridiculously perfect, very natural. It's not white, but it really brightens and awakens the eye, and it wears incredibly well. Without question, my favourite eyeliner, the one I'm wearing in my lower lash line today, is Lisa Eldridge Ground Coffee. It's just the ultimate smoky, chocolatey, coffee brown shade. So flattering. I always steer away from wearing black eyeliner because it can be aging and unflattering on your lower waterline, but that shade, being that brown, that softer colour, I find it really adds something to the look. I'm lazy, so I never really use eyeliner, but whenever I do, I think, why don't I wear that every day? Because I find it so flattering, and her liners are insanely long wearing. I don't know any other liner I've ever used in my waterline that has literally lasted until bedtime. They do not budge on me whatsoever. And then a new entry this year is these from Hung Van Gogh. Again, he has this stunning brown shade. This is Soften the Edge. And again, it's just this stunning brown, uber long wearing. Already that has like dried down and I'm struggling to smudge it and smoke it out because it is so long wearing. Really beautiful. I think I prefer the shade of Lisa Eldridge and the fact that it's a bit softer and not as sort of harsh of a formula, but beautiful long wearing liners. Let's do a cheeky close up for you there. You can barely see the Charlotte Tilbury. And now we're moving on to, just can't get these liners off. We're moving on to lips, and I've split these up by category because how am I supposed to do my top three lip products? Don't be ridiculous. So I've gone into categories. We've got my favorite glosses, my favorite mattes, my favorite shinies, and my favorite everyday satin lipsticks. Those are the categories. Don't call me a cheater. It's impossible. Okay, so let's start off with liners, and without question, my favorite lip liners are the Sculpt and Shape. What is the name? Without question, the Sculpt and Shade from Lisa Eldridge are my favorite lip liner formulas now. Just the shades and the undertones of these are perfect, and the best shades for me and the lipsticks that I wear day to day are 0N and 1N. I spoke about both of these in my ultimate guide to nudes video. Something is really badly in my eye. We're gonna have to power through because I can't see it. But these are uber natural, uber long wearing. They're just so creamy, and it's just the undertones that are so special about these because they will go with every single nude lip and just complement it so easily that you can be an idiot like me and not know what you're doing and know you can reach for one of those shades and it will complement any nude perfectly. Another really effortless, easygoing shade is Charlotte Tilbury's Iconic Nude. Again, it will go with anything. It's quite a bit lighter than the two from Lisa Eldridge, so if you're doing something a bit lighter and softer of a nude lip, then that is the one I'll reach for, but otherwise I use the Lisa Eldridge every single time I'm going with a nude lip. So we have Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude and then the Lisa Eldridge 0N and 1N. So for shiny lipsticks, this, as you know, is my favourite lip category. I live for a shiny lip and these are my absolute favourites. No surprise, Dior Addicts. A lot of my favourite shades in the Dior Addict formula are discontinued and limited edition, which is frankly a personal attack that I won't take lightly. So I've included, this is probably my favourite permanent shade, which is Romance. It's just the perfect everyday easygoing, not too much, effortless, goes with everything nude shade. Then the YSL Candy Glazes. I'm wearing one of these today. It's the shade 16 and these have got to be the glossiest lipsticks in existence. They're so shiny, so pigmented. I absolutely love them, and they smell like sweeties, so that can't hurt either. And then in third place, it's got to be the Lisa Eldridge Luxuriously Lucent. Look at that. This is the shade Je ne sais quoi, which is, I was going to say my favourite, but it's very hard to choose between Lisa Eldridge lipsticks. They're like my children. It's just a very wearable, pretty, bright, but not intimidatingly so. Again, a softer, more everyday finish than the Candy Glazes, which are uber glossy. But these are just absolutely stunning. And now for matte lipsticks, which you guys know are not my favourite finish of a product in general, but certainly not of a lipstick. But I can appreciate them. And a lot of the time I'll want to wear them because they're long wearing. And, you know, it's just something that you can make it through a meal. Typically is going to be a matte lipstick. And let me tell you about Lisa Eldridge's mattes. Like, what do you mean? The one swipe intensity of these is ridiculous. They're so creamy and comfortable, and the amount of pigment that these have, they are very lightweight, incredibly long wearing. They almost have this sort of soft focus finish, very blurring, stunning shades. This is Velvet Petal, which has become one of my most worn matte lipsticks ever. Similarly, Pat McGrath's Matte Trance lipsticks, absolutely, again, ridiculously pigmented. This is a nude shade, Honey Haze. I think this was from last year's holiday collection maybe, but this formula in general, you know, whichever shade you're drawn to, incredible opaque pigmentation, creamy one swipe application, really long wearing again, really flattering, a bit more of a creamier finish to it than the Lisa Eldridge, but again, very soft and comfortable for a matte lipstick and incredibly long wearing. And again, you've got, with both of these lipsticks, just the most luxurious, stunning packaging from both of them. And finally, I think these are discontinued now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Limitless Lucky Lips from Charlotte Tilbury must be brought back. It's ridiculous. I know she released something similar, I think, as an Asia exclusive this year. So I feel we're close to these coming back, which is why I've included them. This is the shade Spice Bloom. Please, Charlotte Tilbury, these are exceptional. They are so comfortable and flattering and lightweight with incredible pigmentation, and they are like bulletproof. They will make it through a meal, very, very long wearing, without drying down and flaking and making your lips feel like they regret all of their life choices. Beautiful, slimline, pretty Charlotte Tilbury packaging. Why they ever left, we'll never know. There they all are together. I just looked at how long this video is. Obviously I'll edit it down, but we're already well over an hour, guys. I'm so sorry. Next up, my everyday satin lipstick. So these are the lipsticks typically that I wear, as you might have guessed, every day, day to day. These are the ones that live in my handbag. They are kind of in between the glossy, shiny formulas and the matte formulas. They have really long wearability. They're not as bulletproof or as drying as the mattes. They're not as shiny. They're longer wearing than the shiny finish lipsticks. These are the perfect in-betweens and typically tend to be my go-tos just for like everyday, day-to-day lipsticks. First of all, Lisa Eldridge's Rouge Experience, and the Society shade in this formula is one of my probably most worn lipsticks. It's pretty, but not loud or bright or scary or intimidating. It's just perfect. So comfortable, so long wearing, with a lovely, nice sort of bit of glow without being glossy or shiny. Absolutely stunning. One of my recent loves of my life is this new Dior holiday lipstick in the shade Circus. Just the perfect everyday like nude lip. that's a little peachy, but not so peachy you can't wear it as a neutral, if that makes sense. Really comfortable, really easygoing, just very uber wearable lipstick. Not as long wearing as the Lisa Eldridge though, so bear that in mind. And then these on stage little numbers from Dior. Shade 120, probably my most worn. These are incredible. They have quite a bit of shine to them, but are so long wearing. I wear these every time I go to watch my son play football, because that is a very long day, and the weather, you just never quite know what's going to happen to you. And I know I can wear this and it be really natural and soft and like your lips but better, but it's going to wear the entire day. You know, we drink a lot of coffee out of thermos. I take my Stanley, and I don't want to be at the side of a football pitch reapplying lipstick, so this allows me to look phenomenal, frankly, all day without having to do like lipstick retouches during a football match, which would feel strange. But 3 phenomenal everyday lipsticks. And finally, we come to the final category, which is glosses. And oh, what a trio to finish with. First of all, let's talk about the Hourglass Phantom Glossy Balms. These have been in my life for a long time now. I always get excited when we get new shades of these. This is the shade Mist, one of my favorites, particularly in spring. It's just this soft, effortless peachy shade. These do have a little bit of that tingle, but it's very, very subtle. I wouldn't claim that these are going to plump your lips, but there is that really pretty shiny gloss with a sort of medium opacity, perfect handbag product with a gorgeous glossy shine that has no shimmer or sparkle. It's just like juicy jelly finish. The new Lancome Juicy Treats are just absolutely what they claim to be. They are really a treat on the lips. They feel so beautiful. It's like a lip mask, but with quite a bit of pigmentation. This is the shade 33. Really quite a lot of pigment for a gloss, but it just literally feels like a lip treatment and not at all sticky. They don't cling together, just feels delightful and gorgeous shades. And of course, Lisa Eldridge's glosses. I've included this special Chameleon Chaos from her holiday collection, but it is the stunning formula, whether you go for one of these special ones for Christmas or just her regular, I was going to say matte gloss, that's not a thing, but the ones without shimmer, as opposed to these, which is this gorgeous sparkling shade. This really surprised me because it's so beautiful. It doesn't look like a sparkly lip. It just looks like a glossy, beautiful, peachy, subtle glossiness. But any of Lisa's glosses, so smooth and soothing and comfortable and with the most perfect mirror shine. And there you have the final 3 products. And there you have it, guys. We've been here all day. I'm so sorry, but I'm not that sorry because I have to put this all away now. So, you know, things can always be a lot worse. So there you have it, my current top 3 in every makeup category. It's been epic, it's been a battle, it's been weeks in the making. It will be weeks until I finish editing and tidying it up. Also, please let me know what some of your current favourites are. Are they the same as mine or different? Please give us all of your top 3s in the comment section down below. But thank you so much for joining me today. If you're still here, pour yourself a glass of wine on me if it's, you know, after midday, of course. We're not animals. But who's to say what was really in here, you know? But I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye, 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 bye.